Hello everyone. Today we are with Peter Štědrý and we are going to be talking about user experience, one subject that is really experienced on that some time before ago. So we would like to know first, of course, introduce Peter. Hello to the
Hi,
people.
Ricardo. I'll say a few words about me. Not sure I'm that interesting. But what's interesting is that I was initially not a user experience designer. I was a developer, and I started my career as a Java programmer, basically going back end and then slowly going to the front end and HTML and CSS and JavaScript in 2000 something. So it was more than 10 years now ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then I slowly drifted away in the direction of design. So I'm a self-learned person.
All right. So during one moment you defined that it was your passion to go through the user experience subject.
Yes, it was. It was my passion, and I've seen that I can help more when I'm designing than if I'm just making it live as other people want to. So it's
all right. Well, basically, when we met, you were mentioning about that you apply some of the concept of user experience in your life. So, what would you say about this? What?
Okay.
How do you make it?
So design for me is looking or going from a problem to a solution. And in life, there are many contexts and many situations where you have a problem and then you need to understand it. And when you understand it, and when you understand all the constraints that are in place, then you are able to find a solution. So,
right.
And it's in many places, and even the thinking is the same. If you're a designer, you embrace constraints because the constraints are a friend. They limit the number of good solutions, and you're looking, hey, what's constraining me? What's the problem here? And if you approach your life in this way, some things are easier.
All right. Why do you say this is? I don't know, for a normal person who, well, not saying that you're not normal, but for a person who doesn't have a UX background, what would you say to them? Why they should see the problem from this perspective to find a solution?
So you will always have your perspective. So maybe first it's about acknowledging it. What am I bringing to the table? How will I be solving the problem? Because I've seen different people solving the same problem with different tools. I've seen visual designers solving a layout problem or information problem from their perspective. So can I add more white space, or can I get rid of some backgrounds or something? And not thinking about, does the information need to be there? Do I have to structure it differently? So everyone is bringing their skills to the table, and I learned one really useful skill as a developer that even helps me in life, and that's troubleshooting. That's how do you figure out what the problem is? If you have a bug in code, what do you do to really figure out what's the problem? So that's a useful skill as well to have. So everyone has his skills.
All right. If, well, talking more about, well, most of the people who can watch this video are related to people who wants to start a business or are in this process. And we would like to know, well, for example, if you have a person who is starting a business or something with one idea that this person have, what are the methodologies that you can advise to this person from the UX perspective to attack their idea and make it in a better way?
So I'm solving a similar problem to this right now in this building we're here.
All right.
And that's even big companies have problems that you want solved. And it doesn't matter if you're a startup or if you're a big company, there will be a problem. And you might approach it in different ways. A big company has the funds to just hire someone and hope that this person solves the problem, but understanding comes first. So you have first to understand what problem are you solving and understand the people that have the problem. And by doing that, you see if the problem is really as big as you thought to be. So some startups have a great idea, but it's not really a problem, or people are able to solve it in a different way, and they will not be willing to invest so much attention or money into your idea as you hoped. So sometimes, so understanding is the first fundamental step that you then build everything upon. So if you have a vague idea, and then you go directly to building it and applying visual design and making it look nice, and you're not sure what's the problem I'm solving, how big is the problem, how many people have the problem, and how do the people behave, what are the people having this problem, then you can't really go to the next step. So, and that's one thing that's mostly underestimated is figuring out, am I solving the right problem? And sometimes you see that, and even I was in startups that pivoted. So they figured out the problem they were solving wasn't really there.
So they have to change it because they figured it out after
Yes,
they built it.
they built something, they tried out, and they explored the market, and they see, hey, this we're not selling it as much as we expected. Why is that so? And they figure out, okay, we thought there is a problem of this magnitude, and it's not really the case. The problem is somewhere else. We have to shift. We have to focus on something else. So that's
all right. So what would you say that is one or two methodologies to really define what is the problem, and people can really know if their idea is valid or not?
I think Eric Ries defined it nicely with the lean methodology. It's about framing it as learning.
All right.
So you are learning and understanding the problem, and while learning you understand what can you do to help. So I think that's
all right. That's what you do say, that you have to first try to iterate over the idea before finally build a final solution or something like this.
You go and learn a little bit, then you build some prototype, you put it out, maybe even in front of people, and you learn from that, and then you can build a more robust prototype or initial product, and you put in some metrics and analysis, and you track what the people are doing, and you're still learning, but with different tools. So the learning takes different shapes over the course of a product. And
well, actually, for example, in my case, I've been living this as well, related to offer to customers these kind of ideas or methodologies that you need to validate your concept with the market and see if this is valid or not. So how would you say, how would you promote to, for example, for a person who wants to develop even simple stuff like a website, who is going to promote their business, that they really need at the end to make user experience researching or something, who really know about how is the structure to get better to their customers? So how would you approach to this person and say, hey, you really know to do this?
And so you can approach the person if he understands why we're doing it. So what's the value of applying this versus not applying this? And there's a really nice way of looking at design, which is, and learning is the fundamental part. So the mindset that you should be in, you're reducing uncertainty and reducing the risk of failure. So by going out and seeing how people use it makes you less likely to fail. So the more feedback, it's about feedback loops. So establish feedback loops and watch the feedback to what you're doing, and then you're reducing the risk. If you just build something for half a year with no external inputs, you will rationalize away all the fears. You will say, okay, we're doing it right. We still have to do this, and in the end, you will have something, but you might not reach the point where people want to use it. Why? You spend a lot of time chasing something, and so as early feedback as possible.
All right. But for example, it's because I am curious about that because it's a case of a web design or something as simple as a website right now that maybe could be wash it like simple. It's not like a complete web application or something that of course is more complex on development and all the stuff. So but so for example, I am a restaurant. I need to promote my restaurant, of course. But if you approach to a small or mid-sized business to say to them, hey, we need to make first a user researching, maybe they are gonna say, hey, but come on, it's just a website. Why are you doing this, basically? So maybe from this point of view, maybe it doesn't apply or not, but it's the idea of this question.
It's always like price performance. So how much will you gain by implementing or doing the product or building the website versus how much are you going to spend building it? And there are lightweight tools and there are heavyweight tools. You can just sit down with like what I'm doing now. One of the projects I have beside work is redesigning the website of our village. So the village I live in, and the mayor has been newly elected. He's quite digital savvy. He knows. He was with some companies and built a few websites, so he understands the importance of design, why we're doing it. He wants the website to actually do something, help the people. And it's just me and him. So we have to really go for the really lightweight tools that help us understand. So how do we build a structure? How do you validate a structure in ways that don't cost a lot of money and you still reduce the uncertainty? So is this a good structure? And there are a few things that you can do on your own. Even for websites.
Yeah, it's a good idea because actually it's like that. Even when we met before, we were talking about some of the tools about how to build a website as fast as possible or somehow with drag and drop options. And it's a solution just to use one of these tools, validate that people is really interesting or is people using it in somehow that the business need it, and after that do a better solution if it is necessary, of course.
There's lots of ways how to get feedback. One of the ways with the website, with the builder, there was a feature where you could send it out and you could send out the URL that allowed people to add feedback. So click on a page and add a note, I don't like this, or I'm confused by this text and I was looking for something. So this is one way how to do it. If you have the balls, you can also reach out to some famous designers and say, hey, I have this really super website, I bet, or please, could you review that? And then just invite other people.
It's more like the expert consultation in that case, and the user as well, both views.
So if you reach out, some people might actually respond. You will not get a 100% conversion rate for reaching out and actually getting a review. And it might be harsh, so some people might say it's utter crap, and so. But if you're in the mindset of I'm doing it to improve, then all feedback is good, and you will welcome it. So this is one part of the mindset. If you're putting something out, it's not like, hey, we can't put it out yet. It's not finished. It's if we put it out, we get feedback, and we can improve it. So let's do it as soon as possible. That's the mindset.
And well, for example, you were mentioning that you were first a developer and later you shifted your career to the UX design experience. So what would you recommend to a person who wants to switch to the career when this or where this person have to start?
When and how to start. So it's I had a few turning points that I kind of, when I'm reflecting back, I don't know how everyone can start. that's different. But I can say what were the biggest turning points in my career. One was actually even before I left school. I was reached out by a guy from the Academy of Sciences, and they wanted an app to collect some experimental data, and it was interesting that they had 10,000 of measurements they want to somehow transcribe or digitize. So there was a really interesting interface that I had to figure out, as well as the backend stuff. So how do you store it? How do you? So the interface was so. If you feel you're drawn more to how do I do this? How do I create the connection between machine and so this is the passion part. So you have to have the passion for that because it takes a lot of time to switch tracks. For me, it took several years, and you have to have a burning passion in you to just push you through and do things you wouldn't do otherwise. So I think just look inside yourself. What are you passionate about? And if it looks like design, then definitely. And then there were other things where I started to take screenshots of the interface. It was maybe 2003. And then in GIMP, it's a free software, I just blanked the input fields and put some text into and relabeled the buttons. And I kind of recreated the interface. And I looked around what I'm doing. Is there someone doing it better? Does it have a name? So kind of you can leapfrog that today, because today there's a lot of information about what's interaction design, what's user research. So go and explore and see where it draws you into. So what do you want to learn? So pinpoint, and then even maybe having a mentor. So having someone who can speed this up. So if you're doing it on your own, you have to figure out everything on yourself. You have to read a lot of books. You have to watch a lot of videos and figure it out on your own. So what is it? And if you have another person that kind of understands what you're trying to achieve, he might recommend books to you. So having a mentor might actually help you most, not burn the passion on things. It's just you're trying out, you don't know if they work or not. So maybe getting a mentor, verifying that you really, and the goal, what you want to achieve. What I'm using is emails to the future. So I write down what I expect that will happen in, I don't know, 1-2 years time. And this helps me make me aware of what my goals are, what do I want to chase, and then it's much easier. And then when you get the email back, you can compare how did it work. This is the technique that works for me. So and putting these tools together, and maybe even being part of the community, like the design community right now, it helps you connect it to what's going around, and you will never be able to watch everything that's happening and all the advancements in the field. If you have people around that you can get in touch with, they will pull you along. So being a part of the community, having your passion, setting your goals, reflecting back on them, I think this applies pretty generally. But in design, the community part, that's a big deal.
All right.
There's a lot of, I think in Czech Republic, you can see it every year. There's about 80 to 100 people coming to Berlin, to the largest UX camp, and it's almost the same people every year. So the community is pretty stable, like a family.
All right. Well, actually, the next question was related to that, related about the UX community, well, in this case, in Czech Republic. And, well, how do you see it? Well, you are just answering practically that it's like a family, and there is any progress related to that there are more people interested in go to the user experience subject.
There are, and it's multiple reasons. Many companies have been waking up and saying, "Hey, we need an internal design team," and it's companies like Seznam or AVG or Cantico and there's a lot of these companies that built their internal teams. So this is the demand. They are quite well paid. nice large teams, good products. Really, design is established, so these are nice places. There are a lot of nice places to work in. So we're starting to see the people concentrate, and then what I started to see is many small web shops, because I'm still having a commercial workshop for the agency I worked before. I still see a lot of people coming through the workshop, and there are new students that currently at the last workshop I had one person that went through a university course that Ondřej Válka was teaching, one of the designers. So kind of there's the second generation coming out of school right now, or they are around. So that's really great.
All right.
And so everything is growing. A lot of companies woken up and see, hey, we need designers. So the demand is ramping up. So it's growing nicely.
All right. And so it means that there is no kind of association between the companies in Czech Republic related to this subject, or right now there is any kind of community, like for example product management meetup or something like this. Is nothing like that right now.
There are various groups that know each other. So this is a network, and there is. I only know a small part because I revolved around the group that was around the original UX camps in Czech Republic. So there was some people, and they were mostly coming from the usability and similar. So something around Dobrý web. So these people I went through these biggest agencies in the Czech market, and there is something called Asociace UX, which is kind of the body that's it tries to join all the designers together, but they are too institutionalized to do something. And my co-founder tried to be a part of it, tried to push it further, but it didn't really work. So there are many forces in play, and so this is the institution, but the community is really wide. There are people working for doing web design and going into user experience from web design. There's a lot of people doing visual design, and then so the community, I don't know how big it is. I see some part of it that meets regularly. So there are some meetups. People tried UX Mondays that stuck. So some community events, sometimes like sponsored or co-organized by this association. So the community gets together pretty well, but it's not. So some people, and you see it in the bigger cities like Plzeň, České Budějovice, Brno, Olomouc. There are always some local communities, and then you have some people that just move around. So the freelancers, they connect it as well a little bit. And then the people also move to bigger cities, to the bigger events.
All right.
Nice community.
Great. Well, you were mentioning about as well the things that you need a mentor somehow when you are going to make your shift or something. So I would like to ask you related to, well, maybe some people won't have the possibility to have a mentor, but of course, kind of a mentor is a leader on the market or on the who has been reading some books or have workshops or this kind of stuff. And I would like to ask you, which are these people that maybe you follow or related to the subject and in books or workshops or something like this, or speaking.
You mean on the Czech market or
in general? Yeah, in general. That what is your maybe some people who has made you inspiration for you.
So there are several people that I
like say the first three or something. Would you?
Yeah. So there is one person, Donald Norman. He wrote a book many years ago. They did refresh it. It's called Design of Everyday Things.
All right.
And so this is kind of the more philosophical approach. And Donald Norman, if you see some of his presentations, it's really about like thinking about it. So that's good on one part. That's the more philosophical. Then maybe the other person that's really fun is Ellen Cooper, who founded one of the earliest agencies in the U.S. called Cooper.
Alright.
They still operate till today, and he invented the personas format. So this is the guy who really started it all, and he also went into design from like being an analyst. So this was nice. And when I'm thinking about, I should include a woman. So Christina Vodke, she was, I think, with Yahoo and a lot of other companies. And she's a really interesting person and also thinks about how to teach user experience. So I'm also learning from her, like following in her footprints, what she tried to do, how to teach people user experience. That's the third person.
All right. So since we are talking about that, you were mentioning how to teach people about user experience. I know that of course you have this startup about called UX Academie here in Prague or in Czech Republic. So we would like to know what is this and if people is interested on this.
So it's not there yet. We're doing everything possible to make it work and make it start. And it's that my partner, he's freelance, he's going around, and he seen the demand in many companies for new design talent and new design people. And so his idea was like, hey, there's no education. There are some courses, like you can have a 1 or 2 day course on this topic or that topic, but it will not make you a designer. It will push you a little bit further. Even the workshop I'm doing for the agency, it's like the overview. In one day, we can give you some overview into what user experience is. So it's like a tasting. So wine tasting, you get to taste the glass of wine and do you like it or not, but you don't know anything beyond that.
In deep.
It's not deep. And he went through a visual design school that was in a similar format, and it kind of clicked together, and he was thinking about, hey, we should do something in this format, and there's no institution, there's no school that is equipped to give you the skills that you would need to have if I want to hire you as a designer, not a visual designer, and as a user experience person. You might be more into research, you might be more into interaction design or testing or whatever, or some combination, or maybe even visual design to that. So there is no institution that will make you a designer that I would want to hire. And it starts with shifting the mindset, so thinking like a designer and then picking up some basic skills that you will use and build upon. So this was the idea, and I really liked it, so I joined him. Like last year, I said, yes, let's do it together. And since then, we've been figuring out how and the format and everything.
It's a 1 year baby right now.
Yeah, it's almost 1 year for him. I'm like 6 months in, in it.
So. All right, great. Well, what you are mentioning about this, but I think it's too soon to ask you about maybe the vision about this. What do you expect about the academy? Because since most of the designers that I know are self-learning. Yep. They are just learning by themselves, and that way they go. So, do you want to make a way to take a person who is passionate about this and go and not just guide this person through this process and not go alone?
I think
it's your vision.
Yeah, our ambition is really speed up the process. So there are multiple parts to it, and I spoke about the mentor. So we will give the person a mentor. We will give them a real world application that some team will be building, and they will have the opportunity to try it out on a real app. So something that would happen in the real world maybe in 3 or 4 years will happen in 1 year. And we will make sure they pick up the pragmatic way of doing user experience. So what I found useful, not what is in the books, because sometimes universities will give you a broad overview, and that's fine. But then you need some specific skills. So we will try to do a little bit of both, but focus more on the skills. And then the mentor will help you overcome any obstacles on the way.
Yeah. So you are gonna bring the experience from the market to the
Yes.
classroom, something
Yes.
like this.
Yes, exactly. And the people that will be teaching or showing the way, they are working at some of the biggest companies and doing it for several years now. So they have the most hands-on experience in the Czech Republic we could get, and they were all interested because most of those they wouldn't start it on their own. But if you have someone who organizes it and they can just be part of it, and sometimes a part of it might mean I'll have just a few hours slot that I will do something, and the rest someone else cares about. So it's like even a small contribution, we allow them to be a
join.
part, to join, and then we think about it as the community get together. So we're not limiting it not only to the students and the people that directly work with them. If someone is interested, we are looking for ways how they can also participate in the weekends.
All right.
So it's kind of a lot of ways that come together. It's not a traditional school by no means. We try to think about ourselves as the antithesis to the university. So at the university, you would come, you would sit at a lecture for 2 hours or like 90 minutes. Someone would be talking for 90 minutes, we'd be taking notes, and then you might go try out something. And we're just reversing it. We will pull you in for a weekend. We will make you do a lot of things, like try it out, to provide you enough experience to go on for the next month on your own with a mentor. And then you come back again, and we talk about the mistakes you made, what worked, what did not, what did you learn, and kind of. So it's completely hands-on, completely different. And when you can read something on your own, we'll just send you the links and point you to the videos that you should watch and what you should read. And we will also buy books for them. So the books, if the book costs like 1,700 crowns, you will not buy it. You will think, hey, I can do without. But some books are really useful, even like for several years. So it's a nice package. I think it will work.
Great.
But let's see if it works.
Yeah, I wanna see it. Well, maybe I can go a weekend, but it's gonna be check the conversation.
Yes, but I think most people will know, and we will also have like the evenings. It will be socializing. It will be networking.
Great.
So I think we will just announce, hey, we will be in this pub, and who wants to come? And if we have like 50 people, fine. If the pub can support it, and then everyone comes in, and we don't think about it as a school because a school is a small closed group. It's different.
Yeah, it's more real life experience.
Yeah.
What you experiencing a real job related to. Well, you have to share, you have to teamwork, you have to build something and learn.
And network. Because the people you know, that's the real power. Even in the community, if you switch from job to job, you still know the same people. Sometimes when you're leaving a job, you can ask around, hey, guys, do you know about something? I would like to focus on this. Do you know something? So even networking, I think that's a big part of it because these students, they will form connections to the best people on the market, which is kind of a benefit. You wish you have when you're starting.
Yeah, at the end they are maybe they start their own business or join to another company who is participating there. Yeah. So it's gonna be like a kind of incubator of ideas of everything. So. And yeah, good. And basically, we have been talking about this startup that you're making, but we would like to know which are maybe the lessons that you have during this period since coming from idea to something that you are gonna just release in 2 weeks.
I think lesson one is it really takes a lot of time. So whatever you plan for, it will take more than that. And it's for the long run. So most startups think or work in the way like, hey, if you put 20 hours per day for several months, it will work. But it doesn't work in the real life. So it will be multiple months when you need to like do something, deliver something. So it's set up for a long-term engagement. So really don't go in and burn out after 2 months. Take your rest, take your time off. you need that. So you need to recuperate your energy. So this is part one. Part two is you can't do it on your own. You have the vision, that's fine. But if you would be thinking for some moment that you can do it on your own, because like in our case, we have some experience. We could do something. But when you draw in more people, it can help you even for smaller things and involve them. It can help. It can mean a lot. So this is something that someone else can do better. Just ask, hey, could you do this for us? And most of the time people say, okay, yes. Even just for the chance of looking inside. So what's inside? There's some mystery. So if you work with the mystery right, I think that's one lesson when I'm looking back. It's really interesting because when you're not passionate, there's a lot of things you will have to do that you like. That's a passion. That's great. Like for me, it's like preparing all the things that the students should learn. That's really what's passionate about. And then there's a lot of things that I'm not passionate about, like lawyers and all kinds of organizational stuff. And if you can find a person that matches to what you don't really want to do, sometimes you have to keep it. I'm not saying you can delegate everything. So this can really help you.
Yeah. Understand that you sometimes have to delegate because.
And then even how to delegate. So you can just hand something to someone else just because he's there. If he can't do it right, you have to babysit, or you will not be confident that he will deliver what you need. And so even that's a good skill to have.
All right. It's most of the people who are starting businesses say that at the end it's like when you are starting something, there are some times when you are like, all right, you have to start to learn how to delegate and how to deliver some tasks to other people or something like this. So
sometimes
like not just for your help, but as well because at the end you need someone else to take charge about this that maybe is more passionate about that.
Yeah, and can do it faster and better than you. So then, and you could do it because I'm a person that sometimes when I take something on, I say I'll do it. Then I'll try to do it, and sometimes it doesn't end well, and it's better to say maybe there's someone else who will do it faster and better than me. So maybe I won't even try, or even I'll try and then fail fast. Like, see, okay, I can't really do it, so let's find someone who can do it. And that's maybe one lesson I learned, and maybe I'm applying it here as well, is bad news should travel fast, even faster than the good news. Because if you mess up something, and with us, we don't know how this works. We will figure it out as we go. There will be mistakes. If you're honest about the mistakes, if something doesn't work, and you can just say it when it happens, you say to all people that need to know, hey, something bad happened, we're working on it, that's fine. If you try to cover up, you try to recover, and you hold up the communication, doesn't build trust. Yeah. So be open about the mistakes inside the team, even outside, because being able to acknowledge that you made a mistake and being open about it, that's a strength, that's not a weakness. So this is something I learned that's really, and I think that's good for multiple startups. When I'm reading about startups, how they fail, how they burn through the money of investors, and they don't communicate to the venture capitalists, even if they could help them, even if they would say, hey, it's not right, we're not sure what's not right, but they might help them. But if they try to make it work, man, they fail because they burn through all the money. So it's
yeah, and they didn't sell it on time or something. That maybe there is a solution.
Yeah, maybe there's a solution. Maybe this is not a big problem up front when it happens, but when you later on you just keep the problem and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then everything blows up. So I think because we don't even know how to do it, we have a vision, what we want to accomplish. We are not confident that we know how. some of the technological startups, okay, we know the technology, we know this, then it will sure work. So we're much better at this, I hope.
Is this your first startup, or you have tried before to make some projects by your own as well?
This is the first startup I'm like pushing off the ground. I was part of 2 startups, but not the early stage thing. I was later. One startup, when I joined, the deal that sold the startup actually commenced 1 month after I joined. So then everything was signed, and we were part of a different company in 2 months. And then the other startup that I joined, they were, I think, 4 years after they were founded. So it was still mid-size of the process. So it's the first real startup I'm pushing out.
Great. Well, to finalize, I would like to know, well, one question that we are starting to do with the people is like, what is your concept about success, for example? What do you consider when you accomplish your goals related to UX? For you, that's your success, or something like this? Or I would like to know, what is your concept about this?
So success always depends on how you define it. So you go forward and you say, for example, I have kids. So success might be they survive until 18 years of age, and they can go on their own. And that might be your only goal, and you will succeed. So success depends on the goals, and then setting the goals and finding out the goals in the business is sometimes much easier because you have money, and then you have an idea, and the idea should bring some money. If it doesn't bring money, you can see it right away. So sometimes it's easier. You can see, like with the UX Academy, are the students coming on board? This is a real metric of success. Hey, we can still find them. Even if we announce it like 3 months prior to the launch, we can still find people. That's success. So you will have metrics, and if you're aware, and that's good, in your personal life, it's much harder. You sometimes not sure what the metrics are, and it's much trickier to have your personal success. So business, that's easy.
Because it can, even in business or in personal life, they can change during their time as well.
They will. And even in the startup. So first, can we onboard all the students between when we announce and when we start? Now it seems like we do. So the first part is a success. And now, hey, what are the metrics next? So maybe are the students learning something, or are they satisfied with what they're learning? So thinking up front what the metrics and how you measure it. And I'm seeing it all around. So all the projects, even here in the big corporation, if you're starting something and you don't know what success looks like, how do you know you're successful? How do you know you succeeded? If delivering by Christmas is how you define success, you might be successful. But what will be the impact of what you're doing?
It brings the revenue after Christmas or not. So you have to define the objective. Yeah. All right. So, well, to say the final words, I would like to thanks for everything. And, well, I would like to, if you can mention us your contacts, if maybe there is some person who wants to achieve the career or just to know about the UX Academy or any information that you can deliver or help to someone, it would be nice to get your contacts.
Yeah, thanks, Ricardo. So we built a website at uxacademia.eu. So CZ will come. .com, we also have that.
All right.
.eu is the primary. And there's a contact to me. There's my Skype and I think my phone and Twitter and everything. So
so you have the hub there about all this.
Yes. So we publish all the information on how to get in contact with us, and that's it.
All right.
So thanks.
Great.
Thanks for having me, Ricardo.
All right. So bye.
Bye.